Triangle of Sadness is a 2022 satirical black comedy film written and directed by Ruben Ostlund, with the name referring to the piece of skin located between your eyebrows, which is generally used in the modelling industry. The stars are Harris Dickinson, the late Charlbi and Woody Harrelson. The film was Charlbi's final appearance before her untimely death in August 2022. And the film had its world premiere in the Cannes Film Festival in May of last year, receiving an 8-minute standing ovation before it got its wider release in September and October of last year at different times in different countries. The film's been recognised by the Academy, receiving nominations in Best Picture, Best Director and Best Original Screenplay. The nominations were a point of contention, with some people believing that Dolly DeLeon, who went on to have a larger role in the back half of the film, not receiving a nomination for Best Supporting Actress, and were not content with this itself and believing that she did deserve a nomination ahead of some others who did receive one. But for the nominations it did receive, it is kind of hard to argue with them, as the film's definitely original. The directing is quite interesting, and it's hard to argue as to what should and shouldn't count as a Best Picture. Like, Babylon was not nominated. I would have nominated Babylon. Would I put Babylon ahead of Triangle of Sadness? They're two very different films, so there is a reason there is a voting system in place for that. The reason that the screenplay is so original is that Ostlund created something that you begin to view as a singularity and is going like tunnel vision straight through, until you end up coming to realise the story is kind of disjointed in the most positive way you could have. The film begins with male models moving into a relationship and discussions about gender norms and the expectations of the male, hurtling towards a cruise ship, coming across pirates, dealing with castaways, and then the reintroduction of the very gender norms that the film critiqued in its opening 15 minutes. The runtime of 2.5 hours is definitely helpful to allow all of these to have their own time to actually flesh out the narrative fully, and nothing feels congested, but it does show that when you do have your longer runtime, you do need to have consistently moving parts. Speaking of, this film did have parts, and they told you each time what part we were in, and it is rare nowadays for that kind of thing to be there, but for this type of film it was definitely needed and is quite helpful to the audience. The actors have come out to say that for the completion of this film, that Ostlund at many times would take as many as 23 different filming of each scene in an effort to provide himself with the best opportunity to create the perfect scene. An issue with the film though is its return to gender norms. After having the discussion early on that Carl is not a fan of any gender norms, and Yaya repeatedly believes that her role in life to an extent is to be a mother, and she has stated on a couple of occasions she is a model, but she views her relationship with Carl as transactionary, and it works out better for her engagement on social media, and in the future when she has a child she wants to be a stay-at-home mom and expects the man to pay for this, which is completely against what Carl's beliefs are. And my original thought when I saw that few scenes was, okay, good for him. I'm glad he's standing up and saying what his beliefs are, and like I had no idea where the film was going to go. I had no idea. Triangle of Sadness, didn't know what that was about at all, didn't know what it was meant to signify. Find out it was this, so I thought it was going to be a film about modelling. It is not. Like, the opening scenes are not an indication as to what this film is about, so I was very shocked. But as soon as the castaway group end up getting formed, the men are just expected to stand, watch and take care of the women and to hunt, until they end up learning they can't do any of those things, and they are, I suppose, the epitome of the modern man. And was this Ostlund's attempt to perhaps show us that we moved away from the original societal norms that were expected, and that we are no longer capable of, nor should we be expected to default to them in certain situations, but instead find the best possible person for each role? There's also a power shift on the island. The Leon's character ended up usurping power, not because she was a better leader, which potentially could have came from her being a cleaner on the boat, that maybe she would have been able to see more viewpoints of other people who were lower down on the totem pole, but instead it was because she was the most efficient individual to live off the island. But people have a problem with the fact that as soon as the character took control, she acted in the same way that pretty much everyone else who has power does act. They condescend on others, they take what they want, and they are not maybe the nice and caring person that we all believe them to be. But again, was this Ostlund's attempt to show us that absolute power corrupts? Absolutely. That is possible. Or alternatively, it could just be something that we're not meant to view the film in that type of lens, and we're just meant to enjoy what we're watching, or to an extent, depending on what it is, feel repulsed by it. When it is easy to, when watching, if you're watching a film, to not just watch it, if you're watching it to analyse it, you can feel like an English teacher in school who's trying to tell their students that a poem isn't just a poem, that the use of blue curtains means depression or anything like that. Sometimes it is just what is best narratively.